Fairfield Community School Board of Directors to order. The time is 6:31 p.m. The regular monthly board meeting of the Board of Directors of the Fairfield Community School District is to be held on the third, sorry, my screen is not split. Held at 6:30 p.m. on the third Monday of each month. The meeting is open to the public and the public is encouraged to attend. Time is provided in the meeting for public input. The mission of the Fairfield Community School Board of Directors is we empower all students to achieve their highest potential through strong relationships, collaboration, and accountability. The vision of the Fairfield Community School Board of Directors is a destination district where we all belong, learn, and grow. Roll call, please.
Yep. Mark Porter.
Here.
Ty Ward.
Present.
Christy Castle.
Here.
Megan Dowd Robbins.
Here.
Mark Thornton.
Here.
Deborah Williamson.
Here.
Dave Eastburn.
Here.
All present.
Are there any changes to the agenda as presented?
Yes, I have a couple of amendments. Remove item 9.2, oath of office. The county supervisors approved the abstract of votes tomorrow, November 18th. Remove 12.2, the school budget review committee request. That was not in place by the Department of Education by this meeting. They said we can approve it in December. And I would like to add an item 13.1, Carl A. Nelson, Fairfield Community School District Middle School Facilities Assessment Fee Proposal.
And that would be under 13, so 13.1. And if you look at this, when we get to it, you'll see part of this is going to be crossed out too, so it's not the whole thing. We just got this today. They were working on this over the last couple days, so when we get to it, I'll explain a little bit more in depth.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Porter and Christie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Community School Board of Directors to order. The time is 6. All right. The agenda is approved as amended. All right, we'll move into our committee reports. Each chair will share 2 to 3 minute update connected to their work. Why don't we start with Mark Thornton and policy?
Yeah, so our policy meeting, we met on Wednesday, November 5th. Discussed a batch of policies that are pretty much out there for us to review today for first reading. And there were ones that had come up that were ready to be reviewed again, or changes that came in from one of the ISB primers that come through. So just a handful of those, nothing crazy, just some small updates. That's about it.
Okay, great. Ty, strategic planning.
All right, strategic planning, we met last week, spent most of the time talking about the bond vote, doing kind of a postmortem on that, where we go from here, what our next steps are, where funding streams are available for renovations or repairs or still replacements, any of the options that are on the board. Then we had a SIAC meeting that night. In SIAC, we kind of discussed some of those same things, and also finished going through the strategic plan that we had approved here at the board table, and just had SIAC kind of go through it and ask questions and talk about it. Then we also talked about Begindergarten, and I'm not saying that correctly at all. Begindergarten?
You got it.
Is that it? All right. And 3-year-old preschool, and kind of planning for what that could look like here. And then we also had the Trojan Times, which is a new newsletter that Zach's putting together. And he had issue 1 for us and just was getting feedback on the layout and all that kind of stuff.
Great, thanks, Ty. Dave, finance.
Yes, so the finance committee met this morning, 8 a.m. First item of business is we went through and just to verify that we had the bonding capacity and using saved dollars up to 21 million, and comparing that to our 5-year facility plan and the funding that streams that were available to it, just to make sure that we had that capacity without jeopardizing our facilities plan. Using save funds only for reoccurring expenses, and then PEPAL funds for funding the 5-year plan. And we do have the capacity to up to 21 million and not jeopardize our 5-year facilities plan. So we talked about that and we verified that. So whatever bonding we use or whatever funding we have, we do have the capacity to use those funds and not jeopardize our 5-year facilities plan. The second thing is, Evan went through we reviewed the budget forecasts from FY 2026 through FY 2031. And particularly at our level, we went through the assumptions behind the forecast. And we approved those, the committee approved those assumptions that are driving the forecast. And I will say that the financial picture of the district forecast, at least out to FY 2029, is good. And with the assumptions that we put in, even with reduced SSA funding from the state. We probably will not, and Zach will cover this more, but probably not open the contract for the teachers, not have to do that, and still be able to meet our commitments. So we forecasted that, so. That's the report.
Great, thanks, Dave. Facilities, it's gonna be Christie covering.
Yeah, so ours was very similar to Ty's update. I mean, we mostly just discussed options as far as what direction to go forward, and you know, some of the challenges that we're facing, and I don't know if you want to elaborate on anything.
Yeah, I think the majority of the time was just spent looking at the options that we have, and so we'll bring those a little bit more to the table here publicly when we get to the new business. But do we spend that money? Do we look at potentially, you know, taking a note out against PEPAL to increase the funding we have for that project? Do we do it in phases? Do we hit like the priorities first in a first phase? Is there an addition that's part of this? Is there demolition and, you know, renovation, and or is there a completely different, you know, structure to what we're going to do with our grade level bands and how we have our schools set up that way? So I think we'll have a little more discussion when we get to that next step. But ultimately, I think step one from a facility standpoint is really getting a detailed report on what is happening and what isn't happening in that space, and then you guys get to prioritize kind of where we go from there. So.
Is there anything for HR?
We met again to, you know, discuss the increase for paras, which I think, are you going over all the details later, or do you want me to?
Not tonight.
Okay, not tonight, okay. So just further discussion on, you know, getting our paras in line with where we think they need to be, and getting them, you know, some type of increase, and rewarding them for, you know, their years of service, things like that.
Great, thanks. Update from Tristan.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
That's great when you do.
Hello, school board. Tristan here. First, we have wrapped up first term. Yay! Fall sports are all to a close, and from everyone I've spoken with, we have all had a blast. Next up, state events. Choir has had 9 people that were accepted into all-state choir, which is pretty cool. The esports varsity Smash team has punched their ticket to the state tournament, which was this Friday. Finally, I would like to thank the board for accepting me and asking for my opinions when I was present. If you haven't heard, this will be my last student update, as my time as a new junior will be taking my spot. I hope you will treat them with as much kindness as was shown to me. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a blast, Tristan. And he'll help in some capacity onboard the new student rep as well. I've got 3 students that I'm talking with this week that have expressed an interest. Last year we only had 1, it was just Tristan, so we have a few more this time. And so we'll have a little bit more, I don't want to say hoops, but like we'll have some more things that they're going to have to provide and show for Megan and I. as we kind of navigate who's gonna be next, so, yeah.
All right, let's move along to our focus on learning.
Hello, everyone. I'm Krista McCready. I'm the instructional coach at Pence.
And I'm Becky Thompson. I'm instructional coach at Washington. And we put a slide show for you today. And we're, if you want to go to the next slide, John is our wonderful helper. Thanks, John. These quotes from Gym Night help sum up our work in our schools. We base our coaching cycles with this work. Here are two we felt were powerful descriptions of what we do by Gym Night. He says, the goal of coaching is to help teachers flourish in ways that make a real difference for students. And coaching is not something you do to people. It's not something you do to people, it's something you do with people. And just so you have a visual, this is the book that we base our coaching cycles on. There's extra resources, there's videos, there's QR codes. It's a really great resource to help our teachers.
So when Zach asked us to kind of put this together on what does an instructional coach do, we kind of chuckled because we wear a lot of hats, so we'll do our best to kind of explain. As coaches, our main goal is to partner with teachers to improve both instruction and student learning.
Next slide, John.
Switch, John. No 2 days look the same for us. Some days we're modeling lessons, other days we're meeting with teams, but the common thread is supporting teachers so that students can grow. We view coaching as a collaborative process where we are learning and growing right alongside our teachers. Next.
Yep, next slide, please. All right, a big part of our work is partnering with teachers to look at student data and figure out our next steps. We co-plan lessons, model strategies, and support teachers as they implement new routines. Coaching cycles are implemented using Gym Night's research-based model, using the impact cycle and its resources. Our feedback to teachers is always meant to be supportive, not evaluative. We also help lead professional learning. We help assist CLTs. We ensure that instructional practices align with our district goals and that teachers have the tools that they need to make data-informed decisions.
If we were to sum up in one word, relationships is probably the most important thing that we do with our teachers. Building trust is essential in order to do any kind of coaching with them. Teachers need to know that we're there to support, not to judge. When coaching feels like a partnership, then teachers become more confident, students achieve more, and the district becomes stronger and more cohesive, which is all connected to our district goal of belonging.
Next slide, please. We also work closely with our principals every week, every day, to help align our building priorities. Every 2 weeks, we meet as a CL team with Zach to reflect, share successes, and problem solve together. Beyond that, we collaborate with AEA consultants and our SAT and SOD teams to build and bring specialized supports into the classrooms. These partnerships allow us to strengthen both of our instruction and intervention all across the buildings.
You want to SAT and SOD, just what do those stand for?
Well, at Washington, we have what's called SAT, Student Assistant Team. We've kind of restructured it this year, which is going really well. Myself and then Kelsey Rowland, the counselor there, we are on SAT 1, and so we help provide specialized instruction for interventions for teachers that bring a student to us that might need additional support in the classroom. And then you have
Suspicion of disability, which is SOD, which is the same kind of thing at Pence, where if a teacher has concerns about a student and their academics or behavior, then we kind of start the process with them on doing some interventions in the classroom first, just to collect some data to bring to then our AEA to see if we need to proceed with IEP support or if there's a different way that we can help support those students. So kind of our daily contributions beyond just the classroom. beyond just coaching, I guess I should say. Throughout the day, we step in wherever we're needed to help in around the school, so it runs smoothly. You might see us on the playground helping students with problem solving. You might see us filling in for a class when coverage is needed. You might see us greeting students in the bus or car line. We even pitch in with the front office support or nurse coverage when needed. We both administer, both of us, administer benchmark testing in the fall, winter, and spring, and then analyze and collect all that data with teachers. We work with teams to help form intervention groups, and it's all part of being a flexible team to help the building and the culture.
All right, next slide, please. There we go. Some of our coaching moments happen in informal ways as well. Quick hallway conversations. What do you think about this? Should I try this? Should I try that? We also do email exchanges every day. Spontaneous check-ins with teachers and staff. These small everyday connections often lead to meaningful coaching opportunities. Our goal is to be approachable and responsive so teachers know that they can count on us for whatever they need, whether it's instructional guidance, problem solving, or sometimes just listening to them.
So that's the day in the life of a coach.
Yes, thank you for letting us share this today.
You guys have any questions or anything?
When you guys were talking about Gem Knight's impact cycle there on one of the first couple pages, what exactly is that, or what did that mean?
Yeah, a coaching cycle, a teacher can request it at any time. It might be something that they're wanting to fine tune in their craft. It might be something of interest, or it might be something that they're struggling with and they need support. Jim Knight's the impact cycle, if you Google it, he's the top there. This is just a framework to have lots of questions. There's video, like I said, there's QR codes where you can watch to see how one is done. If you're interested, you can Google that if you want. But it's a framework to help guide teachers through whatever thing that they're needing for assistance. I'll just say, last year, I had a teacher that needed help with classroom management, and so we went through this framework, and it has specific questions in there to kind of help foster the conversations, and then check-ins, and it's usually a 6-week time, and it goes through each time what can as a coach, how can I even be better to support them in whatever thing that it doesn't have to be managing the classroom. It can be on an instructional routine. It can be on anything that the teacher feels that they want to work on.
It's got basically 3 components to it: identifying kind of what the need is or where the teacher wants support, right? And then learning maybe a little bit more, having support from the coach to grow in that area, and then assessing whether or not it had the impact that we were hoping.
We're always looking at the data. Is this working? If it's not working, how can we tweak it? Maybe we need to scrap it. Maybe we need to start something different. Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned a lot about data. What is you probably have lots of different sources, but what's the most impactful data source that you guys think you can make decisions on?
We rely a lot on FastBridge and the progress monitoring that teachers do. Last year it was weekly. This year it's only required bi-weekly or bi-monthly, I guess, by the state. So that's words per minute fluency rating. So we look at that a lot. Every 6 weeks we're looking at that data, which is how we form our intervention groups. And then those are somewhat fluid, so as kids are making progress, or if they need a different support, we're able to change those as needed.
Yeah, and we pretty much do the same thing. We started a new kind of structure this year with our FastBridge to be very targeted. It's called a 4-box sort, and you look at just a couple skills that are the most powerful and impactful for each learner at their level. So kindergarten, we want letter sounds. That was a big one that we want to ramp up. And if a student is deficient in that area, then we target that area and that group of students to make sure that those letter sounds are solid before first grade. And if we do it each testing period. So once they achieve that and that data is showing that they're proficient, then we go to the next which would be nonsense words, so.
How much collaboration do you do between buildings? Coach and you?
I would say this year we're doing a lot more than we've done in the past. Becky and I meet with Zach, and once in a while Evan pops in.
That's unfortunate.
We meet every other week as our CLT team, and then once a month we meet with our principals, the two of us together. Mostly about literacy is what we're focused on there. But I would say that, our buildings are much more cohesive this year than they have been in the past.
And we're really looking at like how our first graders are doing, like how like I'm asking, how are they doing now? Because we worked really hard. We did this intervention and the teachers worked awesome, and we really were looking at that data to make sure the students were where they were at. And are you seeing those successes in second grade? So we've had a lot more conversations for sure this year.
There's a lot more collaboration between the buildings.
Absolutely.
So that the expectations for people coming out of Washington to Pence, they know what.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Ty and Deborah, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving along to our unfinished business. So 6.1, do I hear a motion to approve the preliminary abstract of votes as presented, pending county supervisor's vote and effective date of November 18th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Porter and Dave. Any discussion, any questions here? This is kind
So yeah, I just have to read this really quick.
of, okay.
So it says, we, the undersigned members of the Jefferson County Board of Canvassers, hereby certify the following to be true and correct abstract of the votes cast at the city/school election held on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 for the office of Fairfield School Director at Large, as shown by the county abstract returns. Cody Freeman received 2,397 votes. Mark Porter received 2,416 votes. Terry Wells received 2,176 votes. Scattering received 106 votes. We therefore declare Cody Freeman duly elected for the office of Fairfield School Director at Large, Mark Porter duly elected for the office of Fairfield School Director at Large, and Terry Wells duly elected for the office of Fairfield School Director at Large. In testimony whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused to be affixed the seal of this county by the clerk of the Board of Supervisors at Fairfield, the county seat of Jefferson County, this Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. So that will be the signed copy tomorrow, but as you can see, pending their vote, those are the 3 board members elected to the school board.
So basically, Cody and Terry will take the oath at the next meeting, and they can't vote on anything tonight, correct?
That's correct. Pending board presidents they could be participating in the discussion.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. 7.1, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution honoring the retiring school board members as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Eastburn and Porter. All right, well, I'm gonna take a moment here to thank you both, and also, a moment to hear from you on any last words you'd like to share, some imparting wisdom. It's been great to have you on board. Ty, 8 years.
No,
No,
just
4
one.
years.
Just
Sorry,
one.
I was thinking.
Seemed like
Deborah,
it
2
seemed
years.
like-
I'm putting yeah, either one of you would like to share anything? Any thoughts?
Sure, I'm bad at talking, so I had to write something down, so I apologize for reading. Also, I didn't have AI write this, so you'll be happy with that. I'm honored to have had this opportunity to serve my community of Fairfield. I came onto this board because Fairfield School District did so much for me in my life, and I wanted to invest in our next generation getting those opportunities as well. Good public schools are at the heart of every good community. There are literally hundreds of people in Fairfield who donate their time to try and make our weird little rural town into a great place to live. And many of them walk the hallways of our school buildings. I've had a great time getting to know teachers, administrators, community members, board members, and it's an honor that I get to work beside you guys. Thanks for everything you do. We accomplished a lot in my time here, faced a lot of challenges, and there's going to be a lot more on the horizon. The thing I will miss the most will be my meetings with our administrative team, Zach, Evan, the others in your seats before you guys, and just getting to brainstorm, ideas, learning about this complicated institution of public learning. And I learn about it more and more with each thought of mine that gets shot down by you guys. And I enjoyed getting to know you, trying to get a laugh out of you guys, and hopefully occasionally adding something useful to the discussion. The bad part about spending years getting very specific knowledge about how schools operate is that as of tomorrow, I'll have no outlet for it. So if anybody wants to grab a coffee, cocktail, whatever, and discuss in-depth wonky school things, just let me know. I'll be around. To the incoming board, my only advice is to hire great people and then get out of their way and let them do great things. Collaborate with as many people as you can, and work with them, not against them. You guys are going to do great, and good luck, and thank you guys for your service.
Thanks, Ty.
Well said. Thank you. It's amazing that 2 years have gone by in what feels like a blink, and yet it feels longer in some ways just because of the substance of what we've worked on. And I just have really 2 pieces of advice, because I can't possibly be too specific with the advice. This is very general. Every decision we make should widen the doorway of opportunity for a child, and that's the true measure of our service. And as we have experienced with the middle school bond, progress rarely happens in a straight line. But when we stay grounded in our values, equity, integrity, and compassion, we always move in the right direction.
Thanks. Oh, yeah. Thank you both. You've been tremendous assets, You're putting your heart and your brain and everything to work to help, as you've stated. I have a little something right here.
Yeah, I would just like to publicly thank both of you as well. I think coming in as a brand new superintendent, Ty, and just your approach as a board president, that was super helpful for me. I think just from a confidence standpoint, to really trust kind of my leadership and how we were moving forward. So I think that was really good. I appreciate it. Yeah, and Deb, just your positivity and can-do outlook on anything and everything. I think that we're gonna miss that tremendously, but I know we've got guys coming in that are gonna add their dynamics and their skill sets to this team as well. I think historically there's been some type of a certificate that you were given. We've got plaques, they're just not ready yet, so it'll be a little bit nicer. The district I worked in prior, it was like this big planter thing that we would give, and it was kind of weird, so I don't know. We went with the plaque, so we're gonna have a plaque. We'll have a certificate too that goes with it, but it's a thankless role. It's a unique position, and I know I'll probably reach out at some point if I get frustrated with this or that, and just need somebody that's not part of this to talk about it. I have to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So now we have a motion. So any other discussion from anyone else?
What happens if we vote nay on this?
Last vote, guys.
We call a special meeting for tomorrow.
Alright,
Yeah, you just get to stay here.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. Motion carries, thank you. Alright, so now we move to the appointment of secretary. Do I hear a motion to approve Evan Martin, board secretary, as the president pro tem?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so that was Porter and Thornton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll take the seat.
Oh, just
Sit, okay.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Good working with you.
Thanks, man.
Sure.
Working with you. Good luck.
What an amazing experience.
It's been a fun 4 years, Mr. Ward.
It has. It definitely has, man.
Your jokes.
I don't think you'll miss it as much as you think. Good luck, guys.
Thanks for the formal
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this presentation.
Thank you guys. Seriously, anytime you guys want to talk about anything, ask any questions, I'll be here. I will grab a coffee or cocktail if anything.
Great work.
Thank you.
Tie again.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Tad, for everything.
You guys will kill it. I know it.
Would you like to follow your next adventure? Start off with softball. So what do you do next? Just make it fun.
I'll try to let you know when I'm what the next cool thing is going to be. Do you think that following me is a good thing, or?
Yeah. Just path away. That's good.
I feel like it's a hard trail. All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Good luck, dude.
You can still stay if you want, guys.
Yeah, please.
You don't have to.
Now you're gonna miss this tie.
I've got to go get a drink with somebody.
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully you won.
Christine, nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'm gonna call to order this annual organizational meeting of the board. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, Christy Kessel,
Here.
Mark Thornton,
Here.
Terry Wells,
Here.
Cody Freeman,
Here.
Dave Eastburn,
Here.
Mark Porter,
Here.
and Megan Dowd Robbins.
Here.
All present. This is where we move into the public participation section of this annual organization meeting. Is there any public comments? Seeing none, we will move to item number 11, election. We're gonna do the election of president. How this works is we will go around the table. If you have anyone you'd like to nominate as president, just state their name. If there's more than one name, we will do a roll call vote after the discussion. So do I hear any nominations for president of the board of directors?
I nominate Megan Dowd Robbins.
I have Megan Dowd Robbins as a nomination. Do you accept?
I'd be honored.
Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, we will do this just by normal vote. We will not go by roll call. All voting members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, passes 5-0. Megan, I turn this meeting over to you.
I was enjoying that. All right, we'll move along to election. Do I hear a motion to? Oh, sorry. What's? How is this stated here? Sorry. Oh, I'm up higher. All right, let me put these on. Do I hear a motion, a nomination for vice president?
Christy Kessels.
I nominate Christy Kessel.
Do I hear any other nominations? Oh, sorry. Do you accept?
Yes.
Any other nominations? All right, so we can just do.
So, motion to approve Christy Kessel as the board vice president.
Do I hear a motion to approve Christy Kessel as a board vice president? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
by Dave and Mark Thornton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, now we get to move along to the Fairfield Education Foundation Board Representative.
I think we need to do the board
Sorry.
meeting first.
Iowa Association of School Boards Delegate. This is, so this is the person who gets to
Who gets to, yep.
who gets to go participate in IASB and as a delegate on Wednesday morning.
Correct.
So, do I hear any nominations?
You did it last year.
I think Ty's
Ty
the
did.
last couple.
It's gotta be a veteran, somebody who really knows the ropes.
I was there.
I do, but I don't plan on being there that early that day, so I'm gonna nominate Mark Thornton. So.
Anyone else? Okay.
Is that the
Um,
short straw or what? Just kidding.
Do I hear a motion to approve Mark Thornton as the IASB delegate for Fairfield Community School District?
So moved.
So,
Second.
Porter and Christie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right. Mark Thornton, good, okay. Let's see, now we'll move along to the Fairfield Education Foundation Board Representative. Do I hear any nominations?
And so what this entails
yeah.
is about a month, once a month, usually not December or January, we'll meet with that foundation, you give a report in some capacity. Mark's been doing this the last year-ish, not quite right. There kind of there isn't a whole lot else really, it's pretty low-key
Yep.
from a responsibility standpoint.
Like you give a report from the board to them, or
Just,
Yeah.
from the board's perspective, how how the month has gone, or what if there's anything big that you would wanna make sure. Mark can touch base with me and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking, so you don't take my stuff, so.
Cause they have you both for like present, so it's good, it communicates, you're not like ditto that,
Yeah.
so just to give them a high level overview of the past month or sometimes 3 months depending on how often the meeting is.
Yeah, do I hear any nominations? For anybody? This isn't
To continue or?
a
I
nice
can
thing for
continue
someone
that,
new
it's
to do
fine.
too. It's a nice way
I
to
nominate
connect.
Mark Thornton to continue.
Good. You accept the nomination?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve Mark Thornton as the Fairfield Education Foundation Board Representative?
So moved.
second.
Dave and Porter, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, do I hear a motion to approve Evan Martin as Board Secretary, Board Treasurer, with the Superintendent serving in his place if he is absent?
So moved.
Second.
Christie and Mark Thornton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wondering if we could monopolize me when he's gone. I had to do that 2 months in a row, remember?
Yeah,
Skill.
all right. So now we get to move into a discussion on committees. We've had committees, board committees for the last year. And prior to that, we had monthly work sessions where everyone attended. So I think the planning currently has been to continue our board committees, but certainly if anyone would like to weigh in on a discussion whether you wouldn't like to see that continue. Currently we have 3 board members on each committee. The proposed committees are Finance, Policy, Human Resources, Operations, which we've been calling Facilities, but we wanted to expand it to encompass a little bit more of the operations, and then Strategic Planning.
I'd personally like to say I think it's been a pretty good move. When I was first on this board, we not only had committees, but we also had work sessions every month, so that would entail as much as possibly 5 meetings a month. It was way too much. The burden has been way less this last year compared to what we previously endured. So I think it's been a pretty wise move, and as long as one or two of us are usually at those, I think there's a lot of alleviation there. I mean, I think if you're the chair, you need to try your best to be at them, but it's been fine. So I like it. Sometimes I don't like the times of them, but I don't like it. I don't like noon. Noon does not work good for me.
You were the chair.
Alright, that's good. So
I think they've been effective. Hopefully it's been effective for you guys too, with saving. I know you go to all of them, but hopefully these other meetings that we do.
I think from just
Afterwards.
from a relationship standpoint, it's been really positive, just because you're spending more time with people and you get, I just think that's a good thing too.
Okay.
you're able to have an in-depth meeting with just a couple of without taking all of your time.
Yeah.
All Monday night, every third Monday. So or whatever.
Everyone, Dave, that sounds.
Yes,
You're
I
good.
think it's
Okay.
very effective.
Okay.
Yes.
Now the one thing I saw down there, you surely don't want to be at every single one, do you, Megan?
No, there was a note about how we want to structure them, but I think how we've done it so far is good. I catch up anyway, kind of, with my weekly meetings with Zach. So I've looked at, kind of where we've been this past year, and now with 2 new board members, there's some shifting around to try to give, replace everyone in different, similar but also desired spots. So this is kind of what I've outlined for the committees for this next year. For policy, Mark Thornton, Dave Eastburn, and Terry Wells. For operations, Mark Thornton, Mark Porter, and Christy Kessel. For strategic planning, Christy Kessel, myself, and Cody Freeman. For finance, Dave Eastburn, myself, and Terry Wells. And for HR, Mark Porter, Christy Kessel, and Cody Freeman. So that's kind of what I'm putting out there. If anyone has any?
Can we horse trade those at all? Or
Can you repeat human resources operations strategic for me?
Human resources, Mark Porter, Christy Kessel, Cody Freeman. Yeah, I mean it's not a perfect. Everyone wants to be on one, 2 committees. They're 2 popular committees, and you can certainly. I know last year there was a little swapping, but.
No.
I'm good. I'm fine with that or whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing I wouldn't mind trying to get on the finance committee just because I'd like to
Okay.
get Mr. Eastburn's take on some stuff.
Yeah, you don't want that.
A little bit more in-depth stuff, but other than that, I'm good. I want to stay on operations because I've been on it for
Yeah,
4 years, so
that's what I figured.
I'd have a pretty tough time letting that one go.
Okay. So
You
yeah,
guys, you feel okay where you're at?
Terry and Cody do those.
Just taking note of it right now.
Yep. And so, yeah, the chair would be the person that usually kind of works with either me or Evan to look at an agenda. We'll try to get something set out a day or 2 in advance if possible. We'll set a time throughout the week, or throughout the month, that's just kind of a rhythm of when we meet, and if there's things that come up, we'll try to tweak it. But we try to meet at least once each month before the regularly scheduled board meeting, so you have the ability to give an update to the whole board, and if there's any questions or whatever. So.
And would we select chairs at our next meeting? or
It's
would
part
we-
of this agenda item.
It is part of this
Consensus
agenda.
around chair, so once
Okay.
we're in agreement of who
Okay.
the committees were, we should look towards the chair.
Yep.
Say operations again. It was all now.
Operations is you, Mark Porter, and Christy.
And who's policy again?
Mark Thornton, Dave Eastburn, and Terry Wells.
Strategic planning is Freeman.
Myself and Christy Kessel.
And who's human resources again?
Porter, Kessel, and Freeman.
All right, so why don't we, is everyone okay with those as they are? Then we can go through for chairs. Okay. So for policy, Mark Thornton, Dave Eastburn, Terry Wells. Mark, you've been chairing. feel comfortable continuing to chair?
I can, that's what everybody wants.
I think be a good idea, maybe.
Yes.
Okay. So do we just, this is just a
It's just consensus.
consensus at this point, okay. Facilities, Mark, you've been chairing. Do you want to continue to chair?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Strategic planning,
It was time.
this was Ty, Christy, or Cody, I don't know, Christy,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
Everything. Finance, Dave,
Are you,
Yes.
are you taking notes on this, so we got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then we have HR, Mark and Christy already are chairing, so Cody, would you be up for chairing that? Okay.
And that'll be heavier too, like with when we're in negotiation season, just so you know, there may be a little bit more, lifting. And since we had a, 4-year contract with our teachers, it won't be as burdensome over the next couple years, but there's little nuances that potentially could come up, but sure.
Okay, so let's come back to, do I hear a motion to approve the committees as presented and discussed?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Christie and seconded by Thornton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.1, do I hear a motion to approve the third Monday of each month at 6:30 PM as the regular board meeting time?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Christie, seconded by Dave. Any discussion here? Seems like it works. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve the removal of the regularly scheduled work session held on the first Monday of each month at 6:30 PM and to update the corresponding policy accordingly? Waiving the second
We have the
reading.
second reading,
Okay.
so this is all written into board policy, so it requires 2 readings, but
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'll lean on the chair on that one, but.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Christie, seconded by Mark Thornton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving along to board policies. Do I hear a motion to approve the board policies at the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Porter and seconded by Eastburn. Any discussion? Can they give us a,
They're pretty well, there's no major changes. A lot of them are just getting back to ISB verbiage. And then we changed, there was one that had a little different section for cleaning things up as a option 1, 2, and 3. We conformed to the option 3 on the,
Is it meal charges?
I think it was the meal charges one. So we took out a big section that was extra that we just decided that we didn't need. So nothing crazy.
And for our new team members, when Mark Thornton references Iowa Association of School Boards or IASB, they provide policy primers that are reviewed by their attorneys. So they're taking everything from legislation and just kind of putting it into sample board policies. So historical practices, we just kind of trust the attorneys with some of their verbiage, and we talk about it during our policy committees.
We basically take both of those and compare them and see what's different. A lot of times just new verbiage of things that have come down through law or some things as stupid as will or shall, so.
What's the regular cycle for policy review?
We're shooting for every 3, right?
It's every 3 years.
So we have to do a big cleanup, and Evan and I have been slowly poking away at it to get our whole list done, but we're getting there.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to 13, school facility discussion. So, Yeah, a lot to consider here, some challenges ahead with the bond not passing. I know we've been talking in committees, but I wanted to take the time here to kind of all come together, talk through, funding streams, as Zach said, and talk through just kind of some potential scenarios and how we can move forward, next steps. Do you want to
Yeah.
speak first about the funding?
So yeah, I can just give just a brief kind of update from an overview standpoint. Facilities met on this, strategic planning, and then finance have all met on this. And so obviously you two guys, as the new board members, as of tomorrow when that gets approved, you guys don't have as much background of what we've kind of been talking through the last 2 weeks. But ultimately, moving forward, we've kind of established, hey, we've got to do something. We're not going to not do anything like we've done the last couple of years. And so what is that next thing going to be? And each group, board committee has had some thoughts and ideas, and I'm going to share some of those. Matt Gillespie from Piper Sandler has also given us a bunch of information. We're going to be meeting with him Friday morning, Evan and I, maybe Megan will jump on too. And then we met earlier today with FEH and Carl A. Nelson, and then some of our directors, administrators, just to get a little bit more input from them and also bring them up to speed on kind of where we're at. So essentially we've got a few different scenarios. We can, use the $16.5 million that's already been approved that we can bond against SAVE and start doing whatever the next step is, right? That the board would decide. If we feel like we want to get more money or need more money to up the ante a little bit as to what we can do to this building, we can pay off current debt that we have connected to SAVE bonds, which right now are payment per, it's not per month, is it per month?
Per year.
Per year,
95.
$795 a year. So we could pay that off now because we have enough money in our current SAVE fund, which is right around $6 million, which would then allow us to bond even more to get to about 21, like Dave was talking. But that would take board. We'd have to go back to the board table. We'd have to have a hearing, and then there's this space where people can. You have 14 days if people want to talk about it or do whatever, and then the board would come back together and vote on whether or not to do that or. Move forward. So that would give us essentially 21 million for sure that we could bond against SAVE dollars for. Now, what we've also been hearing is once this session starts in Des Moines, there's potential, and this is just from multiple sources that I've talked with, that they're going to discuss or talk about moving some of the SAVE dollars at the state level out of that fund and into the general fund for the state of Iowa. And so if that were to happen, that could potentially upset the apple cart, so to speak, with what we could then bond against, because there's not gonna be as much money in that account. And so I think if you guys wanna do that, then we need to do that pretty quickly here in the next six weeks, month, so that we can go ahead and get going with having access to those funds and get them in our account. We'll start earning interest on it as well. And so that's, I think, something up for discussion. So we're sitting at 21-ish. Another option would be, hey, we could take out a note against PEPL. This is different than a bond, but we could get another $10 million probably if we wanted to do that, which would get us up to 30, a little over 30. Now, my recommendation with that would be to not do that. I would say that was kind of the finance committee's thought as well. And the reason behind it is, if you look at our current projections and what we want to do with our capital improvements and the reoccurring PEPL costs, well, we wouldn't have enough to pay for everything, because what borrowing against PEPL would make our revenue per year about $250,000 in PEPL, and right now we're spending about 1.6. So that would significantly reduce what we want to do with that. So again, not my decision solely, but an option to discuss. Another piece that we talked about was potentially going back to a GO bond, a much lower cost. And again, I'm not somebody that's in favor of this, but again, it's the board's decision. It could be 10 million, it could be 15 million, for whatever purpose you guys would decide. We could also look at the levy rate. So yes, it's a 270 like ceiling, but we could communicate we're only going to go $1.30 or $1.10 per 1,000 evaluation. And if we share that publicly, then people would know, like, this is what it's gonna be, but then obviously boards change and things change. Who knows if the next board would do the same, because it's, again, that would be a, you know, a 20-year geo bond essentially that we wanna pay off sooner, but. So there's that to discuss, and then the actual looking at the current structure as it sits, really, you know, I think our first step is having Carl A. Nelson and FEH do a deep dive on what needs to happen and prioritize what we need to do from there. So, is it a full-blown renovation? Are we gonna be able to afford that? Is it tearing some down? Is it adding some on? Is it filling in the courtyard? Is it, you know, what exactly will that all look like? We don't know yet, but another option would be to completely blow it up with how we grade configure everything. So we're gonna tear down the middle school still. Now we're gonna shift, so we could potentially build a new PK3 building for around 25 million, maybe 30. So then we would move to a PK3 and then maybe, you know, 4, 5, 6 at Pence, and then 7, 12 at the high school. So what would that look like, moving to 3 buildings, reducing the footprint, the cost, the staffing of 4. So that's very, you know, a different direction, but it's an option potentially if we really are focused or thinking we need to get rid of that middle school altogether. But I struggle with that too, because we've told people, the public, if this doesn't pass, we're going to rectify or do our best to rectify what we currently have. So I'll stop talking.
Yeah, a couple other things that came out of our meeting earlier today. We'd like to look at how the classrooms are used in all the buildings so we can assess how much space is, how could we maximize the space in the high school, you know, if, and some interesting scenarios. Other schools, teachers actually, you know, they move classroom, or they share classrooms, you know, not to get into too many details, but basically we need to look at classroom utilization at the high school and even at the elementary schools to see where we have space. What else can I share? Oh, and then this assessment, which we have an item on the agenda later to review. It's fairly expensive to look at this, the building envelope, and then to look at kind of what it would cost. Or it's not even what it would cost, it's where are all the problems. Basically, they're gonna outline all of the problems and give us kind of a high level, you know, ticket of what it's gonna cost. So we'll get that, but also while they're working on that, which might take about 6 weeks or something like that, we should probably think about what we want to prioritize, you know, in terms of function rather than, you know, do we want to make sure that, you know, there's a safe, you know, safety and security of the building? Is that a top priority for us? What kind of spaces and you know, just so that we're kind of ready for the second stage, which after we get these numbers, we'll be able to kind of hopefully play with what we want to do next.
Yeah, some of those other priorities: classroom utilization, accessibility, energy efficiency, pick up, drop off, classroom space, music, cafeteria. Like, where would we prioritize? Like, this is where we want to make sure we, you know, get done. And I would just say that for me, the number one thing is going to be to stop the leaking in all capacity. Like, that's got to be, in my opinion, one of the top priorities. But
I personally think that we need to, first things first, have them go in and do that assessment and give us just a breakdown of what has to be done where, and give us good hard numbers, because the people that have voted against us, the most common thing that I've seen they've said, heard them say is that I would just like to see an estimate of what's truly going to cost to redo that building and then go from there. You know, I mean, we've talked a lot of generalizations, but we haven't gotten a great estimate. You know, I think we need to get that estimate back, and then from there we can make decisions. If it comes back and it is clearly going to cost more to repair it than what a new building will cost, then at that point, what I personally think that we should do is then at that point pursue what Zach has suggested and see how much we can do with our saved dollars, and if we can't do enough, then possibly pursue doing a smaller bond. But whether or not that smaller bond will make any difference in the voters that haven't approved it, I don't know. But if we do a $10 million bond instead of a $39.5 million bond, we're gonna be paying that off a whole lot faster. I think the community might resonate with that a little bit better, you know, so. But I don't know when people vote against it, if they're looking at the dollar amount, if they're just simply voting against a bond because then they're not willing for a couple of years, but a $10 million bond isn't gonna take very long to pay off.
No, and we wouldn't have to have that levy go up, you know,
Yeah.
a ton either,
Yeah,
so.
so.
So Zach, what you've heard about because I think that what they're worried about is a financial cliff at the state level. And using those saved dollars and cutting ours back to put it in the general fund. What's the time frame on that?
Well, if it came out of this session, it would be July 1 is when all those new
Do
laws
you
would
think
go into
they're
effect.
looking at it this session? Is that what you thought?
Again, I've heard it from multiple people in different areas, so in the finance world, in the education world, in the
So,
Des Moines,
so
world.
we should borrow as much as we can
while it's still in there.
while it's
Yes.
still there. And so there's that piece, but I think that I agree with what Mark said, we need to have a priority list. You know, these are the things that are the most necessary to repair the building and then move on down to a renovation and what the cost is, and then a budgeted schedule of work to what's the time frame on a budget to take care of that, priorities down to renovation. We get that, then we can match it up with the funding source, which I think should come from the saved dollars, and then we can pass that. And but until we get that, we really don't have anything to go on. And it may be that this building, we finally verify that it's way too much to repair and renovate. And then the third option becomes more available. Utilize the current buildings we have and the space that we have and tear it down.
I think in my mind, what people have to realize though is once we start renovating that building, we realistically can't go backwards. You know, I mean, we've already put too much money into the building, but once we go pour 10, 15, 20 million
Yeah,
into saved dollars, in it, there's no going backwards.
There is no going
So that's the building we have for 25 years, and everyone has to be okay with that.
Yes,
You know,
I totally agree with that.
so.
Anyway, those are my.
Whether or not that 20 million goes to really just making sure that it doesn't leak anymore and replacing that. And
Well, there's
doing all
already
that.
been millions poured into that. So.
Which, yeah, exactly. So I think that's a good point, though.
And the last thing I'll say is let's not divorce this decision from our strategic plan and our vision. You know, we have to make this into as close as we can to our vision of a destination district, and how is this going to affect that? So let's not divorce that decision from our vision and strategic plan as well. So those are my thoughts. We do, as I said before, I'm comfortable, and the finance committee this morning was comfortable with up to $21 million. We verified that, and not using PEPAL funds. And if we do have that capacity, and we can still fund our 5-year facilities plan for the other buildings from PEPAL, and using small amount of safe funds for the recurring costs. So I think that we do have the capacity, we just need to have a priority list with costs and some type of time frame, budgeted schedule, and then we can decide how much safe we'll borrow. And hopefully the legislature won't take it from us this year.
So I think one of the things we need to consider on kind of the funding timeline is if we want to, if we're considering paying off our current debt to extend that limit. So if you look at that timeline, we start in December of announcing the public hearing. We had the public hearing in January, then we had the 14-day petition, then we approved the new amount of 21 million or whatever Matt says on Friday in February. So that's kind of coming up on us really quick, but I think that's a really great timeline too. This legislation will go into action in January, February time period. our funds are kind of available for vote in February. We should know where SAVE's heading. So my only fear with that is we borrow it all at once, we still have to repay that, so if they still cut that pot by 50%, where am I pulling that revenue? Because we're still gonna have debt that we're gonna have to cover, but I think that time period, that's an important thing to come to consensus around if we're doing that.
But this
This
morning,
moment.
they were saying that even though they do cut back on the save dollars, they would grandfather in past debt.
That's my understanding.
That's the current
So
understanding,
we
but
would
once
still
they get
have
in
the-
session, who knows how they
We'd still have the
talk,
funding source to service that debt.
how it's talked today.
Yeah, and we'll see what else we find out Monday or Friday morning.
Okay.
To talk about this too, and like kind of segue off what you guys were saying with the water, I think that it's really important that we press these guys if they do the assessment to, when they're looking at that leak, because I agree, that's the first thing that's gotta get addressed, is how is it gonna be different than the times before? You know, why is this going to work before we would approve anything that they're doing with that?
And along those lines, I think it's a matter of, and we say water's coming in everywhere, but where is it coming in? And does that look like that needs to be redone? Or is like that part of that first project kickoff of that's tied into something else because it's all in one area?
Yep.
And we would do a revamp of that area to try and fix that at the same time. So we're not redoing a roof and then realize, oh, we're gonna replace it anyway with another renovation in a year.
Yep.
I think that's what your budgeted schedule of work would get. It's sort of identifying a critical path and then budgeting to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and to me, it's all like reading this, it's a matter of what, I don't know, what are we getting out of this to make those decisions of
Yeah, Megan had a good,
big thing, couple small things, or even
like a
crazy
reason to
thing
know,
of like,
you know, these
build
7
a wing
windows on the
and leave everything
northeast
else.
side are really bad, and this wall 8 feet up is where this is happening. Doesn't sound like to be quite that specific, but it'll be much more detailed than what we've gotten so far, is what they told us. I don't know what else. It's just hard, because what I asked Chris for is, give me what you used when you did this at Burlington. So they did this at Burlington and came back with over $100 million in what needed to be fixed in this old high school, which is similar age to
How much bigger was that building than middle school?
It's quite a bit bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, probably I don't know how many square feet, but I just wanted to see what the actual report looks like. I haven't seen anything yet, so then I can pass that on to you guys so you can see too, because we wanted to be able to inform how we kind of prioritize too, or help prioritize.
I think my biggest thing is I feel like we're kind of under the gun because, you know, I've been sitting here in these meetings for 4 years now and we can't drag it out for another 3 or 4 years or whatever. We need to get this estimate back, I think, in the next 3-4 months, however long, you know, but it needs to be relatively quickly, and I think within the year we need to have a final decision made on what route we're going. And I mean, if we run one more bond, then at that point I think we have to say that is it, but obviously I don't think we can run another $39.5 million bond. I think it has to be what we've talked about, running a bond for far less money and trying to do the bulk of the project with the SAVE funds. At that point, we're only doing that because we've talked about if we're going to go take that $21 million and pour it into something. I think most of us do agree it's going to be dollars better spent than that, because what I'm very scared of happening is pouring $18 million into that, and in 6, 7, 8 years, a lot of people still want a new building, which is probable what'll happen, but it still probably won't be enough to get it built. So.
Yeah, the other thing that I've had a couple people reach out to specifically, like with the grant writing process, finding dollars that would be one-time kind of contributions to a project like this. So I've got a list. Christy shared some stuff with me on that. Somebody else, another employee, shared some things with me. And then I think Deb was talking about this entity called Pathfinders. So it's a local entity here in Fairfield. They do work for a lot of different people, writing grants. They charge on the front end, so there's a fee associated with it before you find out anything. But one of my colleagues had used them for a grant, and it was a really positive experience that they got. So that would be maybe we could get another $5 million writing all these different grants potentially. And it's not like you're gonna need that money again because it's not a sustaining ongoing thing, so.
Now we've talked about, obviously, the Pebble Fund or whatever, right now we're spending 1.6 million or whatever, went down to 250. I mean, realistically, if we ran into spending too much of those funds. I mean, if we get down to 250, I mean, what happens if we simply just don't have enough money there to do the necessary repairs?
I mean, we don't repairs. I mean, if we loan against PEPA, we're redoing the whole 5-year capital improvement plan to the 250,000. So roofs aren't getting done at the high school, or pens, gutters, parking lots.
I mean, we know how all our facilities, we can't put ourselves in that position.
Probably would be more of a, hey, this year,
Mhm.
it's the 250 going towards that building.
Yeah.
Next year, it's the 250 going to that.
We can't
We can't put ourselves-
jeopardize,
yeah.
we can't jeopardize.
At that point, you're jeopardizing student safety, and we can't do that, you know, so.
So I guess I kind of come at it as a different approach than what you guys have said. I feel like, you know, we've all been in agreement that the highest and best use of our tax dollars is a new building. I think putting this much money into this building that has continually given us issues from day one is insane. I mean, Chris Smith, I know, knows a ton about this building. He went to school here. He went to school in this building. I've talked to him in depth about like the potential to fix it, and he has literally said that to really effectively fix our water issues, you would have to take the entire building and raise it like a foot, or how many feet? I don't even remember the exact.
4 feet.
4 feet. I mean, it's just, it's not feasible. And like you said, to saddle our community with this building for another 25 years, to me, seems very irresponsible on our part. And so, I mean, if we have to shut this school down and send kids to school somewhere else temporarily so that we're able to build a decent facility for them to go to school in, like, to me, that makes more sense. That is better use of our taxpayer dollars than to continue to try to fight what we've been fighting for the last 60 years. So I don't know where everybody else is at, but I really feel that if we want to be a destination district and we want to grow Fairfield and we want to continue to bring students here, we need to do this.
So what is your initial idea?
So I've talked to Zach a little bit about this. You know, I think we look into the grant possibilities. There's several, there's a demolition grant that can help pay for some of the tear down costs. There's opportunity for a CAT grant if we could partner with the city or the county to get $1 million from the state for a CAT grant. We got one for the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center. There's several private businesses in town that I've spoken with that are very interested in potentially investing in that gap to help get us to the point where we need to be, because they do understand that it is necessary for their businesses to be bringing in new employees and bringing in good quality families to Fairfield, that we have to have good schools.
So are you suggesting kind of doing this money on top of the save money?
Save money,
And then maybe try and do a
grant money,
maybe do a $10 million bond?
yes.
Because I'm okay with trying to pursue that route, but no matter what, I don't think we can run a $39.5 million bond.
No, I'm with you.
I mean, it will not pass in this town unless if something strange happens,
Yeah,
so.
but I think we have to get creative. We have to figure out what can we do with our save funds. How far will that get us? You know, maybe we can still utilize a portion of the middle school that isn't in as bad of shape temporarily while we, you know, figure out a portion of it. You know, the 5th grade wing is newer, so maybe the 5th grade is the last grade to be moved to the new building. I just think there's a lot of moving pieces that we can, but I mean, to even spend, you know, $32,000 just to find out how much it's gonna cost us, like, to me seems like such a waste.
I think if we ran a bond that low, I think the key would be educating people on how quickly it's going to get paid off and how short a time it's actually going to have an effect on their taxes. I mean, the high school, I mean, when that was done, I think in 2009, wasn't that a $9.5 million bond, and how quickly did we pay
It
it
was
off?
13 and we paid it off
Just,
in 12.
yeah, just under 14, and we paid it off in 12 years as opposed to 20.
Yeah.
Now paying it off early, we gotta remember we're gonna go up to the $2.70. So it's not gonna change the overall levy that we were just running.
And that's what, yeah, so like when you think about if it's a $5 million bond
Mhm.
or a $50 million bond,
Mm-hmm.
the 270 levy that's what you were voted up to. So it's still gonna be a 20-year note. If you wanna pay it off fast, you're gonna have to spend more money.
Yeah.
Or go all the way up to 270. What we were saying is, you could say this is only gonna raise, $1.20 per 1,000, but that's still gonna take us,
That long to pay off.
that long to pay off.
So,
That's the difference.
so Christie, so you're saying, grant funds, public-private things, and this would go into repairing the building, or
This would go into a
A
whole
new
new
building.
facility.
a new facility? And use this facility to cover the thing? But the new building would be, we'd use save dollars, grant funds, and a smaller GO fund to go back.
Let's say
for
it's
a new-
3 grade levels to start with, or
3
2
grade
grade levels.
levels.
I mean, that would be a whole nother,
Right, and maybe
whole nother discussion.
continue to use.
Under that scenario, it's been said we have extra capacity at the high school. We could
Yeah,
move
once we know
grades-
for sure what that
We could
is,
move
yep,
grades to the high school.
potentially, yep.
I mean, we could move a grade to a church or a rec center or, there's other, I just think there's better options than doing what we're doing and bringing in pods that will temporarily house students that we're gonna be wasting a bunch of money on that.
There's no
and-
doubt, Christie, that it would absolutely kill me to spend $21 million on this building, but also we can't have kids and teachers go into this building anymore the way it is.
So to that point, like you were talking about moving students, there's a lot of yardage that I never see kids fill at Pence. What about expanding Pence and putting more classrooms on that building? Would that be cheaper and something we could use existing funds for to kind of tape on an addition onto that building and maybe save some money and get kids, and then again, move some kids into the high school with the extra space?
Yeah, for sure. And we could use the save dollars for that too. There isn't since it's not a public voted thing, it's the board that would get to decide kind of where those funds go. Yep.
I think it would be interesting to see how you would structure that, because I'm not opposed to it, it's just weird how you would do it, not knowing until next November if you have the additional funds. So it's gonna be a weird, we can get this much here, but we can't go into a huge project that's gonna be 35 mil, knowing that we can't support the whole thing. So you're gonna have to either phase that in 2 ways and say, here's phase 1 that we can do and hope that we do the second one. But you're gonna have to really strategically go about that, knowing that the second one may not ever happen. So you can't leave yourself in the air and say, well, now we have a half a school that can house one thing, but then if that doesn't pass, you still gotta fix the middle school to house the other additional kids. So that's my only concern with that, is there have to be a lot of planning and a lot of really tight structure to understand we're paying this much for this, and have that as just be a +1. If it passes, great, and it adds to it. If it doesn't, we have a backup plan that's gonna house all the students, would be my only question on that. And I think it was you that sent me the one for somewhere in the Quad Cities. They were basically kind of doing the same thing, but they were just basically, if you looked at their 5-year plan, was doing like a wing a year. So they would spend this much on this wing. When that got done, they'd go on to the next one, and then the final one, I think, if I read it right, was basically demolish the old. And so it'd be a weird kind of, but you're still gonna be pouring money into the multi-use section. So that would
whether
be
that's the gym,
interesting.
the cafeteria, the commons.
Correct.
Constructing a portion of the new middle school that could house 2 grades, 3 grades. Building on the north section with the competition gym, caf, kitchen, north office, and in a classroom wing to the north. We could call it it's definitely another option.
I have a minor question. So the individuals, and I know it's just been a couple weeks post the bond, on the private side of it, would they be willing to invest that money up front, or would it be on the back end or over a payment period? Because my concern would be is if we get into a $35 million project and we have $10 million worth of private pledges and only $2 million capitalized, what are we doing to pay it off? And that's, so I'd almost want that in writing,
No,
that
I
it comes
think-
up front
yeah.
with the agreement that if we don't capitalize on our end, like we're cutting checks.
I think it would have to be an upfront
You would have to, yeah.
investment. And I think, you know, we could hopefully partner with Education Foundation and flow through so that, you know, it's a tax deductible donation for these companies and, you know, structure it that way.
What building do we have that's the best bones, least amount of maintenance?
Washington.
Washington is.
Probably. The newer part of the high school is pretty good too, but.
What's the condition of Roosevelt? I mean, I don't really see, since the new edition, the Cambridge edition, they're utilizing any of the upper floors. It's just the weight room downstairs and that, like, would that hold a grade? I think we were just
I
trying to
think
ship.
that building is borderline condemned.
Is it?
That's where the rec center's is right
Yeah.
now.
So you're against even funding the 32,000 to get a picture of
Well, it
this?
wouldn't be that much. So if you look at this, what we did is take out that site assessment and site survey.
Yeah,
That's something that we would do later if need be, but one of the reasons I think why they had that in there was if we're gonna completely upend the drainage and where that water is gonna go, it's gonna have to go far, far away from that building all the way to the south, like past the football field, which I don't know. Anyway, ultimately they said that that's probably something we don't have to do for sure if we want to get the information we need to make a decision moving forward. So it would be that 18-1. And we can wait to see what kind of a report it is too. I mean, once I get that kind of example, it's expensive. Yeah, it is.
Well, you talked a little bit today how there's like a second level report which really gets into the nitty gritty, like conceptual design, and I think some of the details you guys are asking about is really more in that second report.
But that was with the architecture firm,
Right.
the civil engineer. They don't do that until after, once you really start designing and doing all the things.
Yeah, we won't get creative solutions out of this report. We'll just get a list of what's in bad shape
And how much it's gonna cost them.
and how much it's gonna cost
And a
in broad
priority.
buckets.
And that would be.
We
a list-
prioritize. What's
that
that?
would be a list of cost to replace it as is.
Correct,
Yeah,
and if we
this
have
is
to
a
update it.
repair.
Yep.
This is not
But
renovation.
that's part of getting creative around that. So
Potentially,
if you,
yes.
it's not like you have to dump it in it if you're gonna fix it with a different renovation.
Right.
So you kind of have to take those numbers with a grain of salt of where are they at? Like, is it condensed to a certain area and that's where most of it is taken care of? Then you can get creative on that and say, wipe that whole thing out and do something
Yeah.
different there, and you don't have all these dumped costs. To
Yeah.
your point of dumping stuff in to just fix the problem, and it's not really gonna fix it.
Yeah, they shared, a few school districts have enclosed their courtyards. You have to check and make sure the structural integrity of those walls can support a roof over it, but, you know, many schools have done that before, so we won't get a cost on something like that, but, you know, at some point we could, you know, if we wanted to look at that, that would be phase 2. You know, and that might, you know, you might not have to repair any of the walls there because then they'd be, you know, interior walls at that point, so.
One other thing I'd like feedback on from this team is just, if we think about this prioritization process, how much input or how much voice do we wanna give our teachers, our people, to bring back to the table? Or is that something we wanna do more administratively or kind of with our directors and the committees, and then to the board table? Cause, I mean, you think about like, who's gonna make the final decision? You guys are, but do we want input from other people?
Absolutely, yes.
So we talked about creating a survey, that we would list all these different priorities and ask them to kind of rank them, you know, top 5 in their opinion, what we would wanna look at if we're gonna move forward, and maybe we do still continue to find a way to do a new build in some capacity, like maybe that is one of the priorities that we could.
I think we need to paint 5 or 6 main scenarios that we've talked about here and give it to them, because I mean, there's everything from, you know, retrofitting that to tearing down part of the middle school. You know, we've discussed possibly, you know, what if we were able to keep the commons and the gym and a few other things, and then start tearing down some of the wings. You know, basically just give them a line of options and show them the dollars that we're looking at, what it's going to cost to do that, and let people take a survey. And obviously, at the end of the day, we're going to have to make the final decision. But
And is it, go ahead.
Are you saying you would give them a listing of different options, or the priorities, not with a fix in?
I'm saying priorities, he was saying the different
Okay.
options,
Alright.
which, I mean, it could be both, it could be one or the other.
I wish we could go to every person that voted no and say, okay, what is it that you want us to do instead, or are you just simply voting no because of money?
Yeah.
You know, so.
I would also like a survey of what are the issues you're facing each day. You know, what's happening in your room? Do you have enough space? Are there leaks in you know, just so we can get their real feedback. I know we're gonna get it with the assessment, but it's also nice to know, like, hey, we don't have enough space in the locker room, or we don't have space in the, you know, practically speaking. But from the people who are using it every day, where are they hitting their head?
And I think if you did that priority list, and you probably will anyway, but to get what their role is when they fill that out, that would give us a better idea of.
And then do we just leave it to employees, or do we bring in, you know, parents or other people that want a voice of any kind, or like how much do we wanna bring back to this, you know, to make the best decision moving forward?
I think it just needs to be a community survey. I mean, I think parents need to be involved. And
I see it almost like twofold though. We get the assessment, so we figure out the money. We get the assessment back. We draft 3 to 5 scenarios. You roll that out to the staff. You narrow that down to 2. Then maybe it goes out to the community from there. Because if you throw 3 to 5 out in the community,
Yeah, I really think we need to focus on the priorities first to help us kind of
Right.
guide our decisions.
Yes.
We can have these other, you know, the options, but I think if a destination district is our vision, you know, what are we going to prioritize? Is it new build? Is that gonna have to be up there? Is it safety and security? Like, what is it exactly that people really believe is gonna allow us to move in that direction, right? I mean, it's a good point, Christy. The only reason I'm against that is because we've told people we weren't gonna do that. We're gonna put money into this building because that's what you said you wanted us to do with this vote, you know? Is it the most fiscally responsible thing to do? Probably not. But we said we were gonna do that because you voted no. And that's
We
just
still
my
have,
stubbornness,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah, we still have the majority of people who voted.
We do, true.
Yes.
Yep.
So we have to think about their tax dollars too. I know we don't have the
100%.
directive, but
Yep.
we're in the middle with this vote, so it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have different feelings if we had failed miserably and we
Yeah.
didn't have the amount of public support that we do,
Do,
but I do feel like
Makes sense.
But we did go backwards from the last one, though. You know, that's where I'm struggling at. So,
well, because it was a significantly smaller,
turnout.
yeah.
But
I think to Megan's point of surveying the staff and getting their issues specifically with it, what are you dealing with every day? I think taking that data and then running social media campaigns on it and actually humanizing the issue would get a lot more of the community on our side besides just simply saying these are the numbers and these guys said that this is the numbers. I think people respond better to that.
Yeah, also, I don't think parents realize, like, if we didn't pass this bond, that their kids may be in trailers while there's renovations. You know, that's a big deal to, you know, I don't think people necessarily think through
we need to give an estimate of what that's going to cost.
the displacement
How many we're gonna
of
have to
students
have.
during renovation.
Yeah.
So there's more to paint, you know, if we were to truly go to, you know, some combination situation of repair, addition, demo, or a totally scenario 3 new build, but maybe continue to use the gym and the kitchen for a while. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of big decisions and a lot of work, but we're here for it.
So I think timeline-wise, though, maybe it's a January work session that we're all involved in, early January, after we get this, you know, assuming we pass this assessment. And then we can,
We can get those surveys, I would say, done and out before Christmas too, so we could have that data to bring to that work session as well. Because I think you're right, if we can get that work session, if that can be a kind of a decision-making time as to where we're gonna go next, then we can really get the, you know, the architects and Carl A. Nelson to work.
Do you know, cause you said you don't have an example report of what they're gonna give us.
Not yet.
But are you confident that it's gonna be targeted areas, or are they just gonna say the roof needs replaced and here's an estimate for the roof replacement? Because if it's not
Yeah, I don't know if I
targeted-
can answer that really with full certainty. I wouldn't say I feel great.
I feel like if you are gonna get a sample report, right,
That-
at some
it
point,
is.
so the
I asked for
facilities
one.
committee could look at it and say, hey, we want a little more granularity in these areas, and, you know, I know, you know, maybe there's a little wiggle room on how
We
they
could also come back
presented.
together, just, I mean, if we needed to vote on this.
Yeah,
If we wanted to, after we saw something, if you wanted to do that, I'm not opposed to that. I just wanna get this going as soon as possible, just because I'm sure they've got schedules already with other districts, places, whatever, and we need to try to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah, cause that's where I'm at, is I hesitate cause time is of the essence, but at the same time, if they're gonna give it to us and it's gonna be very vague, it's not gonna help us.
It's gonna waste time.
Correct,
Mhm.
it's not gonna help us identify our different options and to pick the best option that we can come up with. So that's my only hesitation with this now, without having that example report, cause I don't want something that just says, yeah, you're gonna have $3 million worth of doors to replace. I want them to
Right.
say, this front door's gonna cost this much. And this one is the worst.
yeah, I don't think it will be that granular,
I don't
but
think so
it will
either.
be,
Yeah.
We need
yeah, like
something.
the
that-
flashing on the entire building to replace would probably cost a certain amount. Maybe they could break it down
And
by
we
square
need,
foot,
we
but,
need something that we can prioritize.
yeah,
And then
that's what
put a
we,
cost to it. And then get some type of time budgeted schedule, so we can see what time it is, how much time. And
I mean,
then balance it against another option.
Conduct a building envelope assessment to assess history of water infiltration, include spray testing, sealant pull testing, thermal imaging, moisture probe, I don't know what that word is, capacitance analysis, for $4,800. I mean, and then I don't know if that is gonna say, hey, okay, here's what we know now from this, here's what it's gonna cost specifically to remedy. So, I just don't know. I mean, I trust Chris fully, like he's invested, they're invested, it's just expensive.
Should we work on a separate track too? I'm intrigued by the private portion of this.
I mean, we'd have to raise like $10 million at least, wouldn't we?
But should we go to people and say how much, and get some idea of how much is available, what this pool looks like?
Yeah, I
And
think we
whether
need
they would
to,
do it upfront or
I think we need
pledges?
to have a meeting with, these community leaders that it's gonna impact the most. All of our largest employers, I think even we should have, maybe county supervisor, somebody from the city. Cause, like if we're gonna do the CAP grant, like somebody from there has to be on board as well. I think that there needs to be a consensus, but I think we need to know somewhat what dollar amount we're gonna
What
be.
total dollar
like,
amount it's gonna be,
yes.
what it looks like.
Yeah. So I think we make it clear, this is what we have, via SAVE. This is the project, this is the shortfall, and then we figure out.
I think it has to be upfront donations, though it can't be pledges, though.
Yes.
Because there's just too much risk there.
Yeah, that's
With
what
that
I
would be
was
North
saying
District,
is,
yeah.
it's gonna have to be, they donate through Education Foundation upfront.
I mean, obviously, it's great. I mean, if businesses are willing to do that, that's fantastic. But I mean,
It takes a lot of time.
I would be shocked if it's gonna, have more than a 10 or 20% effect on the total project. But maybe it will. I don't know. So
And I think it's gonna be hard to get, I mean, the only estimate to say where our gap is our original build from FEH to know that for 50 million you can build that building,
Yep.
or something else, but like, in order to get that cost of what a new, like, whole nother building somewhere else is gonna be, you're gonna have to pay your architects to come back in and do all that over again. So you're
Well, I
gonna
think
have
there
to
has
really
to be a
estimate.
component that you can size down based off of our original plan,
Right.
right? Like, I mean,
7,000
maybe
for a grade.
you don't finish,
7 million.
you know, you don't do the gyms right away, or you don't do, you know,
Yep.
some of the extra components that are gonna, you know, not necessarily impact students directly, immediately.
But you have to know that that's a very shot in the dark number. Like, we don't have any Corley Nelson or FEH to back us on that. It's gonna be us saying,
Well, I think
based
which,
on previous estimation.
yeah, unless they spend more time kind of, what does that look like? Yeah, I get that. But yeah, if you took off both of those gyms, the ACT building, that multi-purpose room, like, that's a lot of square feet. I mean, that's gonna be millions and millions and millions. I mean, those gyms probably together, Chris said one gym is usually 9 to 10 million, like just a normal competition gym type thing, so that's gonna be probably 15 million.
Just one gym.
No,
No.
both of them, the two.
Still.
I'd say that'd be something that we could take to the table with Matt Gillespie on Friday when Zach and I meet with him, see our saving capacity, and then get some guidance around public-private dollars. And then work towards an assessment of some sort to get that data, do that January work session, and then maybe, in my experience with private dollars, you get very specific on an entity, so we come to kind of agreement of, hey, with our save capacity, here's what we can do based off whatever scenarios, feedback, priorities that we get, we would like to do this, and we're short 8 million, so we're either gonna have to go back to maybe a geo bond, or is anyone out there willing to contribute so we can get this gym built or something along those lines. I think that's just great things we can bring up with Matt on Friday before we go talking to too many people about it, because I just get really nervous around private public mixture.
Where does it go? I mean, that's probably a question that you're gonna ask, but say we did get the community to give 10 million. Does it go straight to a fund that you have that you keep the money, or does it need to sit somewhere? And
No,
you-
it'd go to the Ed Foundation, and then depending on how we wanna do it, they'd either earn interest on it until we needed it, or it would flow through to us directly, and then it would sit in our account and we'd earn the interest on it. Well, however we decide where we put it.
Usually there's like an enterprise fund, usually
Is
end up,
yeah,
there any other districts that anyone knows of that has done that successfully with a large sum of money?
Well, we did it in Solon. We had one donor give us almost $8 million for our new weight room and practice gym.
Really?
That was in 2018.
But that was for a narrow project, yep.
It was very specific, and we let them basically design the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like
That's I guess that's my only concern.
that
is
was one family.
I feel like it becomes very specific in what it wants, and then, the
Yeah,
expectations.
this would have to be, we're donating, our hands are off, and
Yeah.
that's hard, especially if
That's
you
my
have
point.
10 people, or 10 big entities donating, like, making sure that that's clear. Because, yeah, when we had that, they had the same thing in Williamsburg, the Holden kind of foundation did significant donations, and after one of them, they didn't have as much input, and so they just kind of stopped.
That's my concern, you start to not be happy how the money's being spent, you just cut off the checks, That can't happen.
we did it in my last district for ball diamonds, so it's a new softball and baseball field, but again, it's very specific, and the plaques out front, and it was $1 million kind of thing.
I
I mean,
feel
there's
like-
multiple donors.
I feel
on
like
that
if you
one.
have private money, it needs to come from, say a business or whatever, it needs to go directly to the gym, and then you name the gym after that business or whatever, and I mean, then I think it's fine, But then the gym has to be kind of what they want.
Yeah, that's
know.
kind of what I was
Some
thinking.
people don't want that though. I mean, some people don't want some people wanna be anonymous.
Well, I wanna-
Some businesses don't wanna be acknowledged because then they feel like, every community's gonna want the same thing from them.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think it goes both ways.
yeah, well, yeah. That might very much be the people that we're talking about there, I don't know, so.
So you're specifically talking about private funds for a new building, not
Correct.
renovation of this building at all. This would go that way.
I think using private donations for the renovation would not be really very good stewards of that money,
No.
so.
I don't think anybody's given us any money to put into that old building. I can't believe actually the number of people that have said, like, I'm so glad that you guys are still, like, actually talking about, like, other options, because they don't wanna see that money go into that building.
We just have to be creative on how we spend the dollars, but yeah. And how we change class elements at each building.
Yeah, if there's great.
I personally think the key is to making this work is getting that 7th to 12 work at the high school. But the key is to not have to pour much money into that high school to change the structure, and that's where it gets difficult. But
Yeah, the other
because
piece of that is, so now we've got our middle school events all, you know, would they be taking place there too? Or are we gonna have to have,
a second gym,
right?
and then just another money, that'd probably be what would have to happen. Yeah. But I feel like 5th and 6th works at Penn's. I have a hard time picturing, you know, a 5th, 6th, 7th, or a 6th, 7th, 8th at the Penn's, you know.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 could probably fit fine too.
Yeah, that would work fine.
So what are our next steps?
I mean, I think we're all in agreement over the SAVE funds, right, that we wanna move forward with pursuing the higher dollar SAVE fund.
I think
So
so.
that's,
And that takes
That takes
us
board
paying it
action.
off and then another board, because we only
Correct.
approved the 16 something, right?
Yep, it takes board action to pay them off too, right?
So do
Yeah, so we're gonna have a resolution for December to essentially directing me to go pay off the debt early, and then it'll just be a big bill, probably one of the board meetings saying, here's 2.8 million that we owe in debt, cut a check. But then we'll also take board action to raise, because we approved up to 21 million, this would be more for like 22, 23 million. So we have to do another public hearing and run that 14-day petition for the higher SAVE bond amount, so that would take board action to essentially lower that amount or higher that amount. So we're only good to borrow up to 21 million based off our last resolution.
How long is that note, the SAVE bond note?
20 years. Couple notes are 10 years.
Yeah, we should do that. That should be our first thing, is to get that. And then we need to get as a good assessment as we can on the building, what it looks like, and and then prioritize the costs. And then we can see
And we'll create a couple different
if
types of
there's another
surveys
option that's available.
to give out to people to bring, so we can have that out there for a month or however long to get as much as we can to bring back to a meeting in January.
Are we okay to wait until middle of December, or do we need a special meeting to approve paying off the SAVE bonds that we owe on?
Give me 20 seconds, I'll just look at the rough timeline that Matt gave me.
Can you read off? Do you have the list of those priorities again?
Yeah.
Or options for all list of priorities?
Safety and security, classroom space, pickup and drop off efficiency, technology space, music, fine arts spaces, cafeteria, common spaces, ending the leaks, that was one I put in there. Energy efficiency, ADA accessibility,
Yeah, I also think like restrooms.
restrooms, that wasn't on here, but yeah. Classroom, utilization, I don't know if it's different from classroom space, and then a new build, is that a top priority, I guess, I had that one.
That gives me an idea at least.
Yeah, he kind of titled this, "What aspects of the building are serving the students the least?" too, so we can.
Did you find it, Evan, or do you need to?
Yeah, I was just, so yeah, it can wait to December, so he says sometime prior to, spring of 26, so you can call the old bonds as of 4/1/2026, so we have till April 1st, 2026 to meet our callable period. And they said December 25 board schedules hearing, that this would be to raise the 21. January 2026 board holds the hearing, then mid to late January, after the 14-day waiting period, we'd have to do the second hearing. If this is a petition,
To see
so
if
we'd
they
have
need
two
it.
board meetings essentially in January, so what I'm hearing you guys say is maybe that first one is a work session plus a public hearing for the first round. Then at a regular stated meeting 14 days later, we do the second public hearing. And then by February 1st, we would know that you can proceed and issue a larger amount of SAVE and go from there.
So we probably won't schedule that January meeting until we know if we're gonna have a report though. Or I guess we have to have a hearing on that date. I guess we'll just assume.
Yeah, but we have to post the hearings, no less than 10 days and no more than 20. So I think our December board meeting, that would be plenty of time to set a meeting for the second week of January.
Okay.
And so then really, from a communication standpoint, if people are talking to us or asking us, we're gonna move forward with at least coming up with the most amount of money we can. As far as where it's gonna go, we're not 100% sure yet because we need more information, we need more input.
Okay. Any last thoughts? Questions? Okay, let's move along to superintendent updates.
Let's do that 13.1 perfection to the agenda.
Have that on.
So yeah, that was the amendment. So it's Carly Nelson Middle School Facilities Assessment Fee Proposal.
Minus the site assessment and site survey consultant of $13,000.
Yeah, to approve the scope of work for Carly Nelson as presented, excluding the site assessment and site survey consultant would be the motion.
Do I hear a motion to approve what Evan said?
To approve the scope of work for
Okay.
Carly Nelson.
Did you
as-
put it on here? Cause I'm happy to
I can
read
say
it.
the motion for you
Okay,
too.
do I hear a motion to approve?
The scope of work for Carly Nelson as presented and to remove the site assessment and site survey consultant.
Did you move over?
Porter move.
I moved, yeah.
Okay, second.
So any discussion here?
I would just say that I will leave it up to Zach and his opinion once he sees the sample version or whatever, that you really feel like this is a good use of,
$18,000.
yeah.
So if we approve this though, can you still say no?
I think so. I think this is just giving us the permission, like if we need to spend it, we can. We're not gonna, this isn't a contract.
This isn't a contract, it's a scope of work.
It's just a scope of work.
proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just means like we won't come back to the table and,
If you don't think it's gonna meet the needs that.
then I'll press them.
And then we can come back and
Yeah.
look at another thing, okay?
I'll say, hey, this is not what we need more detail or more depth, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alright.
All right. Ty kind of hit on this in his update with strategic planning, but yeah, SIAC met last week. There was some good feedback I got. I asked them a couple questions just at the end too from, hey, what are you gonna share with the people in your circles after kind of learning more about our strategic plan? There was a lot of positivity around just the transparency with our capital improvement project planning, the financial health report, the metrics that we're using just from a finance standpoint, so that was really good. We're gonna have students at our next one, which is on February 20th. There'll be some structured questions that kids answer in small groups with the SIAC committee members. We'll use that to help or give feedback to our strategic planning committee as we look at kind of this cyclical approach to our strategic plan too. If there's specific things we need to tweak or change for next year, that would be feedback that we get because the kids are usually pretty in tune with what is or isn't happening. So convention Wednesday. We'll all meet up there. I think you feel free to park at the hotel if you want to when you get there, and walk right over. It's not too far. Just make sure you might want to get a pass for your car, I think. As far as the reservations, they're all under Chris Woolman's name. So whether we all go there together or not, just know they're all under her name. Yeah, we got our final parapay feedback on Friday, a couple days ago. They spoke with the para leaders, spoke with their buildings, and we have a solid plan moving forward. as to where that's gonna be, but it's gonna be significant, pay raises for the people that have been here for sure for 10, 15 years. And just acknowledge the hard work that they're putting in, so we're excited about that. Meet the Trojans is on Thursday for the winter season. Can't remember what time, 5:30 maybe it starts, 5:45, somewhere in there. The community business-wide mailer, it's gonna go to every resident. I think Ty had hit on that too. Our final draft will be here tomorrow. We'll run it through a couple more people, and then we'll get that sent out. Hopefully everyone will have it in their hands by Thanksgiving. Talked about that already. COPS grant, I'm not sure if you remember, this was something that we had applied for. John worked hard on this with another entity. We ended up not receiving the grant. It was, $500,000 that would go towards a lot of safety and security updates or upgrades. I know part of the reason is we have a lot of things in place already, and the awardees that got this grant didn't have some of the same things we did. So the last thing I would just give you an update on is, right now what we're hearing SSA wise, it's going to come in really low. I think the House less than 1% and the Senate probably 2%. So it's going to be lower than what our current teaching contract that with our teachers. If it's below 2% when they settle, then we could open it back up again and say, hey, you're not going to get that 3% that we had. And vice versa, if it was at 4%, if SSA was at 4%, we could open it back up and say, hey, we want to give you guys a little bit more because we got more, right? But what we're recommending is if we get to a spot where it is below 2%, we're still going to honor the contract, and because we budgeted that 3% and we've been budgeting off not getting as much. And so again, that would be probably HR negotiations committee that kind of weighs in on that a little more intentionally, but I think that just shows, that we're budgeting the way that we should be, and we're in good faith doing what we wanted, what we think is best. And then if things change with leadership at the state level and somehow it gets up to 5-6% in the next couple of years, then maybe we would say, all right, we're not go all the way up there, but we just go to 4, right? Because if that makes sense, does that make sense? So that's all I got.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, highlights. Christy, do you want to share any highlights?
My highlight is having our 2 new board members here. I think it's always great to have, fresh new ideas and collaborations. So excited for you guys to get onboarded and up to speed, and looking forward to working with you.
Ditto. Also, thanks to Ty and Deb for their years of experience here, and I know all 4 of us came in when they were. Mark, thank you for earning again. To learn from them and learn the ropes and understand how complicated school systems are and how to navigate it all. So just excited for you guys to join the group, and thanks to them for all the many years of service.
Terry, do you want to share any highlight from the meeting tonight? Or
Happy to be here, and I really appreciated all the different perspectives on the middle school situation and how everyone was able to have a good discussion and handle it as a group.
Yeah,
Cody?
same. I'm happy to be here and be a part of this board. I think what you guys have done in the past couple of years is just remarkable, and my hat's off to Ty and Deborah as well. But also just having a positive conversation, and compared to where we were a couple of years ago as a school district, the conversations were very positive, and so my hat's off to you guys for having positive conversations.
great, thanks, Dave.
Well, first of all, highlight is, I'm very pleased that you agreed to be the president again.
That's right.
I would
through
like
the
to,
agenda.
I'd like to publicly say that through it all, your leadership has been really phenomenal.
Oh.
And it's your demeanor with the community. And so I want to publicly thank you, and I appreciate you taking on the burden again to do that.
Thank you.
I want to welcome the new members, and I think you're going to find that a public school organization is probably one of the most complex organizations that you've ever been able to break down. You've got an organization that's delivering a critical product, and attached to it is a transportation organization and a food service organization. And the funding streams are fairly complicated, so, but that makes it exciting too. Lastly, I want to thank Evan and Zach going through the budget and the budget forecast. One of our goals is to take the volatility out of our budget, so we're not whipsawing our workforce, and that we can give them stability as well as stability for us, so that we're not facing budget expense adjustments every year. The forecast and the work that they've done and putting it in, and yet be able to raise salaries for our teachers and then our paralegals while keeping our levy rate moderate at best is really good work. So I appreciate their hard work too. And of course, Deb, we'll miss both Deb and Ty. We got grown pretty close in the last couple of years because there was a lot of early, long sessions facing with budget cuts and hiring a new superintendent. But I'm sure that you'll be more than capable of filling your shoes. So those are my highlights. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Mark.
Well, my highlight could have been my last meeting, but I guess I'm still here for 4 years. I'm kidding. I think first off, I'd just like to say thank you to Ty and Deb. I met Ty, right at 4 years ago at kind of that first debate, and even though we've had plenty of disagreements over the last 4 years, I think we became pretty good friends, so I've really enjoyed working with him and getting to know him, and I really enjoyed getting to know Deb the last couple of years as well. So it's been kind of fun sitting in this room the last 4 years. It feels kind of bizarre. I was just looking around. I think John was the only one that was in this room when I started 4 years ago, so it's down to just me and John as the people that have been around in this room for 4 years now. But it's been fun. Like I said, I feel very optimistic with the direction the school district is going, and I just really hope we can get this facility thing figured out, because once we get that figured out, I think, it's off to the races. I think a lot of good things can happen here. So, but I'd like to say thank you to Ty and Deb, and then also I'd like to say thank you to Cody and Terry for stepping up and doing this. When I was trying to figure out if I was going to run again or not, really didn't know if we was going to get anyone to run for the 2 open seats, and then I talked to Cody a couple nights before the deadline, and he seemed very open to doing it, and here we are. So really excited to have him on the team, and excited to have Terry on the team. Of course, I don't know Terry as well, but I've known Cody most of my life, so he'll be a great addition to the board. So very excited. So.
Cool.
So, yep.
Yeah, I'm glad you ran again. Thank you for doing that. It's
I enjoy
gonna
it.
add up to a lot of years.
It's gonna be 8 if I stick the whole time. So.
But certainly, yeah, Ty and Deborah, just it felt like we were a really good, cohesive team together. Everyone brought a certain, element of their heart and their head to the work we had to do, and I really appreciate their work, and very excited too to have you guys here. So thank you for stepping in. It was nice to hear from the instructional coaches. A lot of good collaboration happening. So always nice to get that update on learning. And then I appreciate the conversation. So I'm glad that there's some opinions that didn't come out in the beginning, and we're all going to look at this with open eyes as we move forward. So thank you guys for all that, and thank you guys for always providing us with all the information and running the ship. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Christy?
Second.
And Dave Eastburn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nobody's
At
ever
8:30
voted
p.m.
no.
Email login.
Don't be the first.
Don't be that way, right?